So, no. And the reason I say that is... Huh. So the chance we just weren't live. Like 100% chance we weren't live.
Oh no.
Now we're live. I forgot to press go. I pressed the
Oh no.
button that said go live. There we go. No.
Oh
YouTube
no.
normally does that. Okay, we'll have to restart a little bit. We'll start from
That's
the
okay.
middle. Well, so yeah, that's unfortunate. It's okay.
I've done that. I've done it before, so I get it.
I'm not doing the intro. I don't care at this point. I'm not doing the. You've seen the thing already, so the surprise and the same. So we'll just start with the usual. Like we'll start with normally.
Okay.
Hello everyone. So now we're actually live. See, it's a good thing I checked before. So we're live, and we are here to talk about Star Wars, and we are going to talk about, I guess, everything about Star Wars. We've talked a little bit about it already, but I'm going to go ranty again, which is going to be great. I'm joined... Oh, I didn't even do introduction, so it's a good thing we kind of didn't actually get live. Do you want to introduce yourself while I tell everyone that we're actually live for real?
Yeah, my name is Michael. I'm from the Star Wars podcast, and the only time I talk to Khalil is when we're talking about Star Wars, apparently, which I love. I'm not complaining.
I just don't have anyone to talk about Star Wars with. And
There's nothing else I really want to talk about anyway, so...
Like, I don't...
Especially this weekend.
Exactly. It's a Star Wars celebration, and I honestly... There's very few people's Star Wars opinions I respect. Yours is one of them. So,
okay.
Because a lot of people are just wrong about Star Wars, and you're not. So it's fun to talk to you because, you know your stuff, and
Okay.
and I like
Gassing me up. I love it.
I mean, you know your stuff, and what can I say? So. Star Wars. We just kind of went on a little rant about a whole bunch of things. So start again. We'll bring back the passion and the energy. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to kind of list out, I'm going to give some kind of things announced. And we're going to kind of say, are they Jedis or are they Sith? And in this case, obviously, Jedis are good and Sith are bad. Okay? So...
Let's do it.
You know what I'm going to do? Just to keep it spicy and fresh? I'm going to do the stuff we talked about. I'm going to move that to the end. We're going to reorder some of this stuff a little bit. Yeah. Okay. First thing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the fact that you were right and Rey is getting a movie. Is this a Jedi or a Sith?
I'm not even going to say I was right, because I don't know that it was a prediction, more of a wish.
No, this is what you got to do, okay? Sorry. You got to take your wins, okay? If you say something that can be perceived as a win, you take it as you say, like, I was predicting this, and they listened, and they knew, and it was all going to happen. You don't be humble. Take it.
Okay, actually, so let me put it this way, and this is better. I laid out what they should do, and now they are doing the correct thing.
Sure.
So I knew what was best for them, and they also understood, which is very exciting. So, if we're going on the Jedi to Sith scale, this is a massive J for me, baby.
Okay, good. I knew this was going to be one we'd both disagree on.
Okay,
I'm going
all right.
hard Sith on this.
Okay,
so
wow.
Do you want to tell me why?
Go for it. Let's lay it on me.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Star Wars made a stand. They said, and we all knew this was a lie at the time. It absolutely is we absolutely know it's a lie now. But what they said was, we will not continue the Skywalker saga. It is over.
Wait, but hold on. This is the great thing, because everyone complains and says Rey is not a Skywalker.
She's a Skywalker.
So this isn't a Skywalker saga. This is not a Skywalker saga. Rey is a Palpatine. This doesn't count. The Skywalker saga is over. Rey saga begins. Let's go.
She said she's a Skywalker. She literally dug up a lightsaber.
It doesn't matter. She's not.
The lightsaber makes you the Skywalker. I thought that's what it was. Is that not what they ended up suggesting?
I mean, maybe she, like, in spirit, but, like, I don't know. I feel like they're going to retcon this. Nobody likes this. Do you like this? Did you like the Rey Skywalker moment?
I mean,
I feel like that's a pretty universally
I
hated
liked it. I thought it was
thing.
good because I thought it was like, you know, look, Skywalker. I mean, I think it was more like the Skywalkers are assholes, and I guess if you, it's kind of like saying, okay, I want to be associated with these assholes, so why not? Because they've all been, the one common thread is Skywalkers are dicks. That's what we know, right? And so, everyone from fucking Kylo Ren to like Anakin, they're all dicks. Like that's the Skywalker thing. If you want to be associated with that, by all means, go ahead. I mean, I guess it's better to be associated with Palpatine.
Yeah, I guess. I don't
They're
know.
both pretty bad, so I guess Skywalker technically is a nobler kind of thing in the galaxy. Look, I'm just gonna say one thing. If you're doing this, they need to move. They need to say, look, we're not calling this. We're calling this something completely different. Like this cannot be called episode whatever. If they use the word episode, I'm gonna be very angry. They gotta call it.
Okay, that's fair.
Like if they want to, if they want to make it something different, then do that, but make it different, right? Like I don't want to hear the whole, oh, this is episode whatever number, right? Like I'm done with that. That's the end of the Skywalker saga, right? Technically, all the real life Skywalkers are gone now.
See, I think you're getting in the weeds too much on this. You're listening. You're thinking of the marketing. You're thinking of the technical
No,
bits.
it's
But here's
it's
the
even
thing.
the opening crawl, John Williams score. Like I don't want any of that back.
Okay, yeah, I guess so. Let's say you get it your way. Let's say this is like a brand new thing. That you don't get the crawl. There's a new score. Does that make you a Jedi now instead of a Sith on this?
So this is the thing. Okay. So I think we need to kind of do a little backtracking to what was never recorded. Because I think this is kind of so. I think before I read the High Republic kind of stuff, I think I would have probably been a Jedi on this. The reason I've changed my mind is because the High Republic has showed me what Star Wars can be and what it should be, which is give us trilogies of movies, right? But through different eras, different points in the galaxy. You don't have to be scared of lightsabers. Like lightsabers can be like you could still have cool characters with lightsabers. I think they've kind of forgotten that a little bit, right? Give us Jedi's and Jedi fighting Jedi. Like that's not a bad thing in a movie, right? Like people act like because the prequels did it so poorly, just obviously everyone just remembers episode 2 with Yoda flipping around over Count Dooku's head, right? But just because that happened doesn't mean that's the only way you can do it. Duel of the Fates is legendary, right? They've done it in animation. Give us real lightsaber fights, well done lightsaber fights. Give us all of this stuff, but give us this in separate trilogies. And don't connect it back to anything. Have a story in a trilogy and then leave it, right? Like, you don't need to do the MCU thing where everything has to be connected to each other. That's not how Star Wars is. Star Wars is a galaxy. Like, use the fucking galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think you're wrong. I think you might be in the weeds on the Ray thing in particular, because here's the thing. I think we are doing what you're saying. We saw at the panel, they had this timeline, right? They had the different logos of the eras.
Don't do that yet. We're
And
going
then
to talk about the logos of the eras later.
Okay, all right.
But yeah.
All right.
But
all right.
you're saying they're going to they want to kind of separate them over time, right? Is what you're trying to say.
I think we're getting what you're asking for. And we can also have the Ray thing.
Okay, so the question then just becomes, but then that's why I'm saying, like, I think I'll be more positive on this if they say, okay, we're gonna move it further in the future. It's not gonna be right at like because like if this movie starts when she picks up the lightsaber, I'm gonna be furious.
Apparently, it takes place 15 years after Rise of Skywalker.
I don't think they know what they're doing yet because they could fire 3 directors before they end up with the movie. So I'm not
That's
gonna.
fair. This movie can never come out.
I'm not gonna take anything they're saying right now as gospel because we've seen them say things and then do completely opposite things. All I'm saying is if this movie picks up, within 2 years of, because I think in my mind to be continued part of the trilogy has to be like within kind of that 2-year chronologically kind of point, because obviously all the movies kind of take place right after each other in the trilogies. So if you want to do it, it needs, like, I want 1 3-movie story per kind of like Give honestly just each director 1 3-movie story, do whatever the hell you want with whatever characters you want, and call it a day. Like it's not that hard. Anthology trilogies, not anthology movies, anthology trilogies.
Okay, I don't hate it.
Because that's what they do with the High Republic stuff, and it's awesome. They're telling one story for 3 books, 3-ish books, because you know they have tie-ins and whatever. But you know, one story, they conclude that story, and then you don't have to come back to it because the bad guys are gone. Like it doesn't have to be every villain doesn't have to be the Empire.
Yeah. No, I hear you. That makes sense. And I guess for me, like, there's still unfinished business as far as it goes for Rey and Finn.
Oh no, because I think they did just such a bad job with the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Because they did,
which is why
they had to develop the characters that were supposed to be the trilogy was supposed to be about, right? Like they didn't do any of that because obviously they got scared of like, oh, what happens? Well, first of all, the original cast is actually dying in the middle of the movies, so they were like, okay, well, what do we do now? We gotta like oversaturate with Luke and Yoda, and because people aren't gonna be able to move on. I think the one positive I've gotta admit is I think the TV shows have helped them show, okay, look, the audience is able to move on, and I think Solo, in their mind, Solo's failure was showing them, okay, look, the audience wants you to move on and give us new characters instead of rehashing old characters forever and ever and ever. And I like Solo, obviously. I think there's a trilogy in there somewhere, which they'll never do. But, I mean, I think the Lando show is still alive as of now. I think there was some mention of it at some point recently.
If there was, I didn't see it.
I remember someone mentioning it. I think Glover said in an interview or something just recently that it's still happening. I think I don't know. I might be wrong on that one, but it might be alive, might not be alive. So next, they show the Old Republic. Wait, we're done with that Rey thing, right?
Yeah, we can move on.
So they showed the eras. So are you Jedi or Sith? On them mentioning the era called the Old Republic.
I'm a big Jedi there.
Okay, good. That's the right answer. Because they didn't announce anything, at least that I'm aware of, for that era. But they did announce that era, they do consider the Old Republic to be a thing. And if you're willing to make a logo of it, I'm assuming you're willing to eventually expand into it.
You know what is dumb about this, though?
What?
And again, I might be getting ahead of myself. I don't know
that's what we
if
do
this
here.
is
We get
coming
ahead
up
of
later.
ourselves.
But well, they show the logo of the Old Republic, which everyone has been asking for. We talked about it last time.
I begged them.
And then they skip over that, and they come up with a new era called the Dawn of the Jedi. And it's like, why even announce? Why even mention the Old Republic, and then move on to something else? You know what I mean?
Can I give my theory? I have a theory. I've thought about this a lot because I'm like obsessed with the Old Republic, and so therefore I've just been thinking about this one thing consistently. So my theory is this: I think because the way, so at least my hunch is this presentation was probably prepared for a while now, right? This is not something they just come up with the day before, right? Like, someone with school assignment or whatever. Like, this is something they work on for months and months before, right? You have to get all the talent. You got to do all this stuff, right? It's all a big process. So my hunch is they initially planned on having, I think their plan was to kind of be the big hurrah into the Old Republic was going to be the remastered video game. But because that's now being thrown into development hell and we don't know where that is, I think they basically they've kept it in because they plan to show all the eras and they're going to announce something for each era, and that the video game is going to be that big thing of like, look, we have this game coming soon and it's going to be the big launch into that side of things, right? I think the video game being delayed has kind of put them in a position where they just have nothing for it, and they also canceled I think they canceled the show that was supposed to be in there in that era. One of the shows one of the movies they canceled was in that era. I think I don't remember. But I think they basically said we're gonna leave it there because this is prepared in advance. But the plan was the game, because the game makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to launch that kind of era into canon, right?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Was that supposed to be a remaster or a remake?
I guess it would have to be. It's supposed to be a general remaster, but they were going to do some different things.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. What I was gonna say is I feel like the game would require some tweaking to fit in
Right.
canon.
Well, I think what they were gonna do was inevitably just like remaster it in a sense. Like for the most part, the game itself will be the same, but they'll have to change some characters or some certain things to kind of fit it. I don't remember the game at all, right? Like for the life of me, in terms of like the specifics of like what characters wouldn't fit in canon, but I do think somehow my bet would be that Yoda will be a baby in the Old Republic era. That's just my hunch. Because I think Yoda is now just the official merchandise, either Grogu or Yoda is the official merchandise of Star Wars. So I think you're gonna have to have some sort of baby version of someone in that species during every era. That's the hunch.
Okay, that's
So
wild.
Grandmaster Yoda's gonna be a
Um,
child, and they're gonna be like he's gonna be like a youngling at that point, and it'll be like Grogu, but not really because he'll be like a lighter green.
which is wild because the whole Baby Yoda thing was like to capitalize on not having Yoda anymore, and now they're going backwards and capitalizing on Baby Grogu. So I don't
Also,
know. It's
Yoda's
weird.
alive in the High Republic era, and
Yeah,
he's the
exactly.
Grandmaster, or at least I don't I don't remember if he's actually a Grandmaster, if he's like a Jedi Master, but he's some level of importance in that era because they mention him
Right.
in the kind of second trilogy. I don't remember if they mentioned him in the first one, but they definitely mention him in the second one.
There is a name drop in Light of the Jedi, at least one name
Because I know
drop.
in one of the more recent ones, they actually talked about like the training droids and stuff. So I know that they're
Yeah.
around. So we're saying we like the idea of the eras and the Old Republic era being announced. Okay.
Yes.
Because I would probably have to, then all the respect for you if you said no, it was gonna go away. Okay. So the it looks like that they plan on going ahead with the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. Are we after everything? Are we still in on both those shows? Or Jedi or Sith for those shows now?
Well, it's interesting because I think I got two answers for this.
Yeah, so like one for
I think
each, I
I'm
guess.
Jedi. Yeah, I'm Jedi on Acolyte and I'm Sith on Skeleton
So
Crew.
why?
Acolyte sounds great. It's within the High Republic. My plan is to read those books. I'm sure it's going to tie into some of that stuff. That's really exciting. It seems exciting. The cast is incredible. And on the other end of the spectrum, it's risky to do a cast of children for Skeleton Crew. That sounds alarming to me. I could be wrong. It could be great, but as the concept stands now, I'm very nervous about it.
So Skeleton Crew, in my mind, goes one of two ways. It goes away where we watch it and we are like, you could have done this animated, which would have been significantly better. That's one way, right? I like Star Trek Upper Decks or whatever the hell it's called, right?
Okay.
Secondly, they kind of go full on. So you remember one of the non awful part, or maybe one of the relatively awful parts of Boba Fett. Everything was awful about Boba Fett's show. But the kids, the teenagers, who he recruited,
like the biker gang.
Yeah. And it goes kind of in that direction, and that's kind of the type of team they are.
Okay.
So I think if it goes the way where you basically like leave it saying, why the hell was this not an animated show? Then I think it's going to be a problem. But
see, my read is they're trying to do Stranger Things in Star Wars, and I don't even like Stranger Things that
I've
much.
never watched it because of hatred towards certain people in that show. But yes.
Okay.
No, I think it's a bad idea. But I'm also out on the Acolyte.
Okay, wow.
The reason,
I mean, this at least has like the Jedi and the lightsaber battles, like you were talking about.
right? But the
Hopefully.
reason I'm out on the Acolyte is because I am now 100, and I don't know if this is being confirmed or not. I'm 100% convinced that the Acolyte is somehow going to bring back my favorite Star Wars cult as of the High Republic time, which is the Path of the Open Hand. And I feel like they're going to make them all lightsaber wielding maniacs, and I'm very frightened they're going to ruin what used to be a very cool cult and make them a bunch of lightsaber wielding crazy people. I don't know how they're going to resolve it, how it's going to end, because we still got one more book. But I think that the Acolyte now feels more and more like a show that is like, I don't know. I did not read up on what they actually told us about the Acolyte because I was more obsessed with the other stuff that they told us. But I don't know if they told us where it's going to take place. But if they haven't, it's taking place in Jeddah, almost 100%. Like I would put money on that.
Okay.
Because Jeddah is the Jedi homeworld at this point. It is the holy kind of, all the different Force users kind of believe it's like, you know, it's the Jerusalem of Star Wars, basically. And it's, you know.
So it's interesting because you've laid out how much you love the High Republic. Right. And it sounds like you don't want the best of the High Republic to come into...
I don't want to ruin it. Because I feel like they're going to ruin what made it so good, which is the point of them. They aren't lightsaber wielding maniacs because they believe that the Jedi use the Force as like they're enslaving the Force, right? And the Force should be free. And the Force is going to balance itself out. If you save a life with the Force is going to kill someone. That's their whole philosophy, right? The second you make them Force wielding and lightsaber using maniacs, you lose the entire thing that makes them super cool and different from everything else we've seen in Star Wars. Then they just become another, you know, group of people.
See, I feel like, I mean, I'm coming from a different point of view, having not read this, not understanding what all you're talking about. So, like, it's easy for me to say, oh, this sounds like a great idea. What's weird from my perspective is, like, I don't know. I feel like your contingency is, well, it's a Sith for me if it's bad, right? It was like, well, no shit. So, like, I don't know. I think you're more Jedi than you might admit.
I think
you know, because
my vision of what this might be is Sith, but if they do it right, like I like the Jedi. The concept is Jedi. But I'm scared of what it might actually be, which is why it's a Sith.
Okay, that's fair, and that's my same reasoning. For
it's like Anakin in the prequel trilogy. You know, it's like he's basically on the edge, especially like, you know, kind of in episode 2. It's like Anakin episode 2. That's where I am right now. It's like, you know, you could see all the signs of him turning to the dark side, but right now he's still technically a Jedi, you know?
Okay.
He's going to go murder a bunch of Tusken Raiders, but, you know, he's still technically a Jedi. He's going to get married, but he's still technically a Jedi. He's doing all the bad things, but, you know, right now he's still a Jedi. So that's where I am.
I'll accept that.
Okay. Now, I'm burying the lead on this one. Because I'm still trying to form an opinion. So I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
Again. Are you in or out on the Ahsoka Tano show? Based on the trailer and everything else you've heard, are you in or are you out? Or Jedi or Sith?
I am mostly Jedi here. I think it kind of comes down to I'm afraid they're going to ruin Ahsoka, you know? And all of these characters that I love so much. So I'm kind of in the position... I'm a little more hopeful than you are. Okay, I'm a little more hopeful for this than you are for the Acolyte, but I totally see a situation where it's not done well. I'll say the pedigree is pretty good. I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead. You know, I actually not that crazy about Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka in general, but it's not bad. So, yeah. And he pulls out a book.
This book, I don't know if you've read this book. This book came out, I don't even know when it came out. It came out like a while ago. This book was kind of pre-Rebels, okay? This book is the definitive book of what Ahsoka's character is. Okay?
Okay.
It seems like... So, I should tell you, I'm fully Jedi on Ahsoka. Okay? And the reason is because this book, the way this book kind of played out, feels exactly like what they're doing with the show. And this book was pure genius, and this is the one thing I've wanted adapted to some extent, and it looks like they're doing that to some extent. And this is the definitive book of Ahsoka, and because of that, I am fully in on it. Ahsoka, my favorite character in second favorite character in Star Wars. My favorite character is also in her show, which is this guy.
Okay. Yeah.
These two people, the books have been amazing, and I think I'm very optimistic that they're going to be done justice. Just to at least a pretty good extent. So I'm Jedi all the way. I think this is like, Mace Windu, like, purest of the pure. Because I consider Mace Windu the purest Jedi because he hated bad guys.
Yeah.
Or Obi-Wan, I guess. Obi-Wan would technically probably be the purest Jedi. But, either way, one of those kind of top tier Jedis, that's where I am with this. I think if they... Also, I do trust Filoni, and I do trust him to do Ahsoka justice because, it's his character, right? This is his character, right? He was the initial kind of Ahsoka person, and I think he's going to do the proper send-off. Honestly, I think the Ahsoka show in my mind should be the end of the Mandoverse, but it won't be.
Yeah, that's what kind of scares me about this movie, right?
Who's the main character in this movie, by the way? Just out of curiosity, who do you think the main character ends up being? Because you have to have a main character.
I would say it's probably the Mandalorian.
So are
Din
they
Djarin.
going to make the Mandalorian movie? So they're going to Hannah Montana it, or basically throw in a movie at the end?
I mean, again, I think it sounds more of like an Avengers type deal. I think Ahsoka will be there. I think Boba Fett will be there.
Boba Fett?
But if I had a gun... Yeah, I mean, that's all part of this universe they've been building.
So what about Andor?
I would consider that separate.
Do they... No, I know you consider... I was saying, do they consider it separate?
Well, I mean, based on the timeline, I feel like, number one, that would be important. Maybe there's some other threads you could set up that could tie in,
I'm scared
but...
for because now I'm worried they're going to do something stupid to try to, find a way to make him... They're going to try to make someone in this show relevant. That's my hunch. In Season 2, someone in this show is going to become the clear, oh my god, of course this character is going to... Honestly, I would be surprised if someone... I think Season 2, and then whatever happens after Andor Season 2, I don't know if Mandalorian Season... Whatever season they're ending on. But some character from Andor is going to show up down the road. Obviously, Cassian Andor is dead, but, some other character from his show is going to... Probably someone who's new, who they haven't introduced to us yet. Or it'll be the, oh my god, I don't know his name. I don't remember any character. I literally don't know anyone from that name.
Sorrel?
The bad guy.
Yeah, Sorrel.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's the one.
Sorrel Karn. I would have said the opposite bad guy, which is Dedra, the woman. Her having ties. I think we can follow her rise in the Empire.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then she works with Thrawn. I think that would make sense.
So, yes, I do agree with you. Now, there's one character who they haven't cast, or at least I don't think they've cast yet, which is his right-hand man, who they have yet to show in anything outside of the books. We'll see if they actually hold true to the books, but we will find out. Now we'll go back to some of the things we talked about before we start actually being live. Are we in or are we out? Or Jedi or Sith on? Shoot, I don't remember what do we start off talking about? I don't remember.
Oh God! Did we talk about Rey?
We talked about Rey? Yeah.
I think that was the first one. So.
Yeah, no, we talked about Rey. Rey was the first one we talked about when we were at.
Yeah.
It was something that all I remember was the High Republic.
I don't even remember what we talked about.
Are you in or are you Jedi or Sith in the High Republic? I guess I don't know.
I mean, I'm Jedi. I'm not entrenched enough, really, but yeah, I don't. I do not remember what we talked about when.
Which is annoying because now I don't remember what we talked about, but it's okay. We'll pretend that we know exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, I remember one. I remember one. The casting of Thrawn.
Right. Okay.
That was the first one we actually talked about.
And I said I was concerned, and you said you were all in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see who would be the better choice.
I think I'm an advocate for voice actors being given jobs in the voice acting industry. But on the flip side, I'm very pro actor getting a job in the acting in the non voice acting industry, especially because Star Wars has done this before, which is why the 2 times Star Wars has done this, and they've screwed up heavily. They did this with Darth Vader, and they did this with Boba Fett. What did they do with these 2 characters? They brought back actors who would play these characters. Or in James Earl Jones' case, he voiced Darth Vader, right? And the guy voiced, I guess, the clones in Boba Fett or whatever, right? They brought them back. James Earl Jones, not because he's not a legend, but because he's old, because that's what happens that eventually in someone's life, they become old. And he sounds like an old man, not like a Sith warrior. And, obviously you watch Boba Fett. So I don't have to tell you anything else beyond you saw the fact that the guy was quite literally stumbling the entire show. And he didn't look like Boba Fett. He didn't move like Boba Fett. They brought him back and they tried to make the story fit around what kind of how he was now rather than how Boba Fett is supposed to be. Right? So that is why I'm hesitant, because it's not like they have a great history of bringing in voice actors to play characters, years after they had finished the role, when they're now old, and expecting them to basically be able to physically do the role.
So, but the time jump here is much smaller, right?
But you can do a voice when you're old, right? But when you have to physically do the role, that's different. If Thrawn looks like he's 90 or 70 even, right, it's going to look wrong because the time jump is small. At least for Boba Fett, they made the time jump, and all the stuff seem like, okay, it's big. But for this, you can't make it big, which means if he looks like he's aged 7 years since the, over the last month of Star Wars time, it's going to look ridiculous.
So how long, let's think about this though, how long has Thrawn been missing? Basically, I mean,
right at the end.
He disappeared.
Like right at the end of the end, they did the time jump in Rebels, right?
Yes.
I think they're picking up right at that point, the end of the time jump.
I don't. That's why I disagree. I don't think that they are. I
think the trailer showed us they are.
Really?
I think the trailer showed us. I think every indication we've seen, the fact they had the giant mural at Star Wars Celebration, was, in my mind, the indication that they're picking up exactly where that kind of second time jump, where Hera has a child and all that stuff, that's where they're picking up.
I see. So what is it? A year is what you're saying?
When comes back, it's like I think it's a year. I think they said it was a year, and I think that's exact. I think they're gonna pick up exactly right there, and they're gonna move on from there.
Because my impression is this is still going to be alongside the Mando timeline, which would be after, which would probably be like 10, 15 years or something.
But remember, the Rebel time jump, they jumped to the end of the Empire.
Yeah.
So they jumped to the start of the
that.
Mando timeline, basically.
But then that time jump must have been about 10 years.
You think Mando's taking place over 10 years?
I'm thinking the original trilogy is taking place over 10 years.
No, it doesn't, because the first 2 movies take place back to back.
But then there was a time jump between 5 and 6.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any indication it was
10 years might be an exaggeration. My point is there's still a lot of years there, whether it's 10 or 5.
But I'm saying I think it's like 6 years maximum, and I don't think that's enough to like.
It's semantics, but what I'm saying is I don't think that guy has gotten so much older that he can't do the voice anymore.
Well, no, I'm worried about the physical.
And also Thrawn is older. We should have brought a timeline. That's the graphic we needed.
Yes. Well, I'm trying to do age math right now. So he's 60. The actor's 60.
Okay, so I guess what I'm getting at is like, so, and I'm really bad at the timeline stuff, so, bear with me. But again, let's say, okay, well, let's say the original trilogy was 4 years. Then how long is that after that to Mando? That's like another 2?
So,
or 3 or 4 or 5, something like that. And then there's even a timeline in between Mando from this season. There's another 2 years in there. I think we are getting up to 10 to 15 years in separation from the last time we saw Thrawn.
Ready for the real answer? I got the timeline here. The
Okay.
Wikipedia page, which means it's accurate.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. So we're gonna go down to. Okay, we're way before when we need to be. Go all the way down here. I forgot how long this era is. Okay. So, the start of the Ahsoka show is 9 ABY. Okay?
Okay.
The end of Rebels is the end of Rebels is whoa. You might be right.
Let's go.
Because this is the Battle of Endor, so we're not even. This is the funeral of Anakin Skywalker, and so this funeral of Anakin Skywalker is 4, 5, 6. It's 4 years. So from Anakin Skywalker, so the end of the original trilogy to the start of Ahsoka's show is 4 years.
Okay.
And then from the Return of the Jedi is what year did I say Ahsoka's show is in? Did I say 9?
9.
Return
yeah.
of the Jedi is in 4 ABY, and then Rebels ends ends. No, we're past this. I feel like someone needs to make a better timeline than like scrolling through a long. I'm sure there is one, but
Yeah,
Crimson Dawn was
somewhere.
before Rebel. Was Solo before Rebels ended or after?
I don't know. No, it has to be before.
Right?
It has to be before.
So it was in
Maul would be the timepiece for me there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're right. Maul had to be because Maul dies in Rebels.
Yes.
Wait, so is this? There's no way this timeline's wrong. That's like the official timeline. We're more likely wrong than this official timeline, right? Okay. But Leia was like a child in. Oh, this is Empire. Okay, here we are. Okay. You know why it would mess me up? Because they sometimes would refer to Anakin as Darth Vader as Anakin, post becoming Darth Vader. So that's why it was messing me up. Because when I saw Anakin, I was like, oh, I've gone too far. Okay, Battle of. Okay, so now we're in episode 1. Liberation of Lothal, right? That's what we're saying.
Yep.
0 BBY. Before Battle of Yavin, obviously. So 9
years.
9 years, yeah. We could have just gone from the Battle of Yavin.
my point is, yeah, exactly. I didn't even think about that. My point is, the time jump from when that actor was portraying Thrawn is about the same time. It's been about 9 years. Again, I'm very bad at time, so maybe it was 10, maybe it was 5. I don't remember. But
it was 9 years because the Battle of Yavin was technically when the Rebels ended, right? Or like around that time.
Right,
so
and
hence
I'm talking about real life time.
Oh yeah.
In translation to this character, I think the time it's almost real time is what I'm getting at. From the end of Rebels,
yes,
in our time to the start of Ahsoka in their time.
Now the one thing is, and I'm gonna pull up this book again for a second because this book, it to some extent addresses, part of like. So basically, what I'm going to say here is I think time works differently where they end up going. Because I think they go to Thrawn's home kind of system thing, which is different, like outside of regular Star Wars, right? They go to the, to his like empire, right? So I think time works differently. So that's what they're going to be able to use to their advantage. Because they will be able to basically speed up time if they want to, and we will basically all be forced to agree with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the other thing that's like pointless to dive into this stuff because, Bo-Katan is almost 60 in The Mandalorian. Okay, like the time stuff is. I mean, she looks like a great 60 if that's the case. But my point is, like, there's always going to be weird stuff in all of this. So that comes with Star Wars.
We didn't need to spend 5 hours dissecting the timeline, especially when we know the Battle of Yavin is like the significant point in time. And we could have just counted back from what Anyways, it's okay though. We learn. So I don't even know what the question was, but we're gonna say we're in on.
Yes.
So okay, you know what? I'm coming around to it. I'm in on the age. I'm in on it.
Okay, the timeline helped.
Yes. I'm still a little hesitant about the physical. Like, can he physically do the stuff that you have to do to be Thrawn?
Yeah.
Like, because that is still a worry, even if you're because again, we're assuming Thrawn's timeline. He's still physically an alien, so he's more. So I just don't want you to my worry is just, is he gonna look old, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Boba Fett is. I mean, you can argue Boba Fett's timeline is fine, right? But he looks old, and it's not as fun if he looks old, right?
So, and this is the thing, we could go back to the Grand Inquisitor in Kenobi. I thought that guy looked like dog shit. And I don't even like the character in the show.
It too.
Yeah, I agree. So, I'm just saying, it probably won't be the worst thing we've ever seen.
Well,
I don't even think they translate Ahsoka well.
I was gonna say. I was literally about to say. I think that they have poorly done everything, so far. I think every animation to live action thing translation they've done badly. I don't think they've done a single one successfully. They've done the live action to animation successfully with Anakin and Obi-Wan, arguably maybe better than the other way. But I don't think I can't tell you that they've done a single animation to live action transition that did not look awful. Speaking of The Mandalorian, Zeb looked terrible. Assuming that's actually Zeb, and it's not just some person from his extinct species. That was Zeb, right?
Yeah, that was definitely Zeb. Yeah, Zeb looks great. Cad Bane looked pretty good. I think my bigger issue
that they shot him like a baby and he died. That kind of ruined it.
But yeah, okay, I'm talking appearances. Oh, yeah. I think he could have used a bigger hat, but facial structure was pretty good.
The human character, or when you try to go more human with the characters, right? Zeb, I mean, I wasn't even a huge fan of Zeb, to be honest. I felt like he felt a little bit off. I think the Star Wars has done a very, very, very bad job of live action to animation to live action kind of that transition, because I think they try to go, some of the characters that they try to go too human and realistic. The Inquisitors being one of them.
I mean, to be fair, I think it's definitely harder to make a person look like a cartoon than it is the other way around. So I get it, and Like, there's some stuff, like the Ahsoka thing, I'm over that now. The Grand Inquisitor thing, I don't think I'll ever be over that.
No,
I think it
it
just kind of
traumatized me.
depends.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna ever go away. That's like that's what like the original Sonic design, except they never changed the Grand Inquisitor design. So
I remember when they delayed Kenobi by a week. My theory was that they were fixing the Grand Inquisitor. They did not do that.
no, they did not. And you can't even pretend like it's supposed to be bad budget, like some other things, but because it's supposed to be, you know, I just think you go straight. You put up cartoon characters in live action, like just straight up put cartoons in live. Like who cares?
Well, here's the thing. You know, Zeb looked pretty dang good, and you still have a problem with that. And he basically is a cartoon in live
I
action.
think it felt wrong because like my brain was trying to figure out the whole timeline thing while watching it, saying why the hell is he sitting at that exact spot? That's what I meant more by wrong than like he looked wrong. Also, you know, I lied to you, or I didn't lie to you. I don't think I lied. I might have lied. I don't actually know this character's debut situation. But the one character who's translated either to animation or from animation seamlessly is Grievous. I don't remember.
I was actually gonna say that.
I don't know if he was in Clone Wars before he was in.
He definitely was, because I've gone down this rabbit hole before. Now, if you look at it, it's very close. So there's a chance they already had a pretty good read on what Grievous was going to look like in the movie. But the Clone Wars did come out before Episode 3 or any trailer. Also, you know, one that, you know, is not necessarily perfect, but pretty dang good if we're going down this rabbit hole. Boba Fett from the Christmas special. I mean, he looks different, but he looks great too.
But they kind of all the Boba Fett from the Christmas special stuff, they kind of gave to Mando. So is that canon? Is that really canon?
No, not anymore.
It isn't, right? Okay, because they gave all his stuff into Christmas special to Mandalorian. So I was like, you know.
I think they're just references, really.
Right. Well, that's
cheeky.
They're trying to kill that. Like I thought that was completely out of canon. Because if we want to go to animation before, then the original Clone Wars animation, right?
Well, I thought that's what we were talking about with Grievous.
I was saying like modern day Clone Wars.
Oh.
Because he didn't show up.
Because
he didn't show up to episode.
Modern
3,
day Clone
right?
Wars. Modern day Clone Wars definitely came out after Episode 3, but the old Clone Wars came out after Episode 2.
Right. Well, then I guess in that case, I guess a lot of the characters are younger versions. I still think animated Yoda is better than any live action Yoda we've gotten. So that's real, like not animated in. Like I think Yoda's the one character where when you animate him in live action, you ruin him. Because then you get tempted to do all the flippies and jumpies and stuff, and it looks bad. Puppet Yoda in live action needs to happen forever. Like that's just. But we've learned this now. Some characters need to be. I want a Thrawn to be a puppet.
Okay, that's a hot take.
I don't know. It seems like it'd be fun. I want a Star Wars puppet show. Can we do that?
We can fund it.
No, I mean like I want them to do it and make it canon. I would watch it.
It's bold.
Official Star Wars puppet show. Like, why not expand to more crazy media?